I went through like my biggest, like my lowest point. That's what I went through, like my lowest point mentally trying that trick. Like some days I remember just driving home, like just so mad at myself, like there's no way I'm gonna do it. Like that's not gonna happen, you know? But then like on the same drive, some time go by, I'm like, nah, fuck that. Like I'm doing this shit next weekend and I'll hit you up like, hey bro, let's go back next week. That one took a very long time. Like I had hella battles, but none that I could really think that stuck out more like than the others, except for like the bigspin. That was like the biggest one, like mentally, physically, over everything. Like pretty sure like one swim for this part took like 6 times going back within the span of like couple months. My mindset when I found out we were filming for Define is I'm about to go crazy. Like, I just wanted to go up. I was hyped because I just thought about like how the night of Encore was. And like when I heard like there's gonna be another premiere and stuff like that, I was just like, yeah, like this would be another time I get to like feel that feeling again, as well as like really make this part something, I guess, you know?
Wow.
When I see like certain angles, like I get hyped up, and there's like a top angle that I really like, you know, it's where I'm like, you can see the tray flip, so I'm like, oh, that'd be like a cool little pull up, as well as like, there's like the line factor of it where it's like when you're in a line, you know, and you do the first trick, you're like, I gotta do the second one. So I just needed that little extra boost.
All right.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
The day of the land, man, that was a great day. That was a great day because I just remember trying it, and I'm not gonna lie, it kind of was going how it usually goes, like the same as the other battles. But I just remember like having like one moment where I thought to myself, like, cause I remember I would go home, and people would always ask me, like, oh, how'd it go today? Like, did you get it? Did you get it? And I would hate having to tell them, like, nah, not today, not today. So I remember thinking about that shit, like, I'm about to go home and all the homies like, oh, did you get it? Or like the ones who didn't link up that day. And I was already thinking like what to tell them, and I was like, why the hell are you thinking of an excuse already and you haven't, like, you know, like you're not done trying it. And then I was like, how could I fully say I've tried it if I haven't stuck it? Like, you know, you haven't even taken it to the ground to say you really tried. And then I just remember I dead ass tried that try and landed it. I remember landing and everything went black, and I heard my truck slide, kind of like did like a back power slide. And that's when I kind of like seen the ground, like my hands were about to touch, but I kind of like pulled them up, and I was like, nah, like I'm not doing it. And I kind of remember just rolling past you, and I looked at you for a brief second, and I was just like, fuck, because I was mad. That I was like happy but pissed, you know, that I just took forever, but it was just finally done. Bro, I had to hold that nigga, I'm not gonna lie. I held that nigga like he was my baby or something. I was holding bro like, he been with me on every single battle. He didn't miss a day. Like a couple homies didn't pull up, some missed a day. He didn't miss one day. When I seen him, I had to give him a hug because I was like, bro, like it's done. Like, you know, like we don't have to come here no more. That's like my brother, so like he be, you know, he's with me. He hears all this shit. He feels like what I'm feeling, so I had to let him feel what I felt real quick and give that nigga a real hug.
I think part of the reason why I was even skating it was because I really wanted to ollie into it. I've never, been there so many times, I've never ollied into it. And it's not a big feat, but having never done it, I was really eager to just do that. That's what kind of got the juices flowing, and then I was thinking maybe I'll skate over it. Once you ollie over it, you're like, okay, I can get the appropriate speed, backside flips you can reach. I wasn't too concerned after I ollied it, like, I'm gonna clear it.
Oh, like every time it's like completely different.
I had some issues with, I think the board I was skating that day was just like not the shape that I normally skate. And I don't know how long I tried it, but it was probably at least an hour and I didn't land on any. And that is maybe the worst feeling ever when you're jumping down something fairly big, you know? Like the last thing you want is like, oh, I don't feel like any of these are worth trying to put down. They were all just fucking flails, even though in my head I'm like, no, this is, I have this is super easy. One more try, flail. One more try, flail. It went on for way longer than it should have. I don't know, sometimes it's hard to stop. It's hard to pull the chute and actually say like, okay, it's not happening today. Not to mention, I think that was towards the end of the trip and I really wanted to get that and I knew I could.
Dude, are you...
Yeah, the overbar, which is close, yeah, not far at all. I think that's probably, maybe somebody wanted to skate it and it was close. Let's go check that out. I can't imagine me being like, let's go there. Like, after like, I don't know how long the actual fucking battle was, but despite having just jumped down this thing for whatever, how long, set up the fresh board, couple flat ground tricks, ooh, this feels good. Start just whatever, kickflip over the rail, feels good. Frontside flip the rail, feels good. Backside flip the rail. Okay, this is feeling good. Fresh board, fresh circumstances, start landing some shit, get some redemption. Okay, I don't suck. All right. Things seem to be feeling good. We have a little bit of time left out for the sun. Okay, let's go back to that spot. Again, it was, 5 or 10 minute drive. And usually you're not going back to the same spot twice in a day after like a pretty good effort, So you gotta run, you're sprinting at the spot, so legs are definitely, they're not feeling springy at this point necessarily, but still warmed up from that overbar spot. Fresh board, new confidence. Maybe like within the first try or two, it was like, oh, caught one. Okay, that's different, Finally, I found the backside flip, First one that came to my feet, or maybe not the first one that came to my feet, but first one that felt good enough to put down, and I was rolling away. And that shit felt good. Such a long process, and such an unlikely ending to the story. So it was definitely a nice celebration. I think we got a nice dinner after that. Just the way that it all played out was a nice, happy ending,
I skated Stanford for the first time, shit with you, filming for LRG 1947, so it's been a while. I had never been to Stanford, and then I remember pulling up and being like, damn, this thing is massive. Like, at the same time, when you do finally start to skate it, it's kind of steep, so you gap out to it. But I mean, the first time I pulled up, I was a little nervous to try the trick, for sure. It was bigger than expected. I mean, we skated it again when I was getting welcomed to Adidas, and then ever since then, it's just kind of been off the radar because they went ahead and knocked the whole thing like super gnarly. For Defiant, it was kind of coming down to the point of figuring out enders and stuff like that. And I hadn't even like thought about Stanford in years. And then I remember I seen Jamie Foy and some other homies like pretty much skating Stanford, like the famous, like the left side, had it unknobbed. And I didn't think those knobs were like able to even be taken off. So I was like, shit, that thing is back in action. And I think that would be a solid plan B. Kind of had a plan of a trick that I could do. And yeah, it was super like random, spare of the moment type shit. I knew right away I wanted to do like switch flip front grind just because no one had really like done any switch flip tricks into it. And then that's just a trick I'm pretty comfortable with. And a lot's been done. So when I had that, like, I was like, oh shit, that'd actually be a solid one for it. It was low-key hella windy. And I always check the weather for like the wind because I don't know why that shit likes to follow me around. That was like the only weekend we kind of had. But when we showed up, it ended up being mellow because the roll-up is in a tunnel. So it was like pretty much just skating indoor. It was super mellow.
Every time I go, there's something right there. All right, dog.
Right.
Different enders have been like a mission where, yeah, you got to work for it. Or sometimes they do happen easy. But this one, I kind of had a feeling it was going to go like pretty smooth, just like, I don't know. I mean, you never know how it's going to go, but I was just feeling like pretty confident about it. And then once I locked one, I was like, oh yeah, we got it. Even though the trick, like, it did like take a little while and like it had the window of like kind of going away and stuff like that, it definitely, yeah, it was a little bit quicker than expected for sure. It felt good to just like get out of there smooth. That felt good. That's always a good peace of mind just to like know you knocked it out, whatever it was that you were planning on or trying to do, just to, yeah, check it off. It's a good ass feeling rolling away.
He's not the type of person to like, I want to go here and do this trick. And you rarely hear that from Tiago, you know? It's more like, I think he had maybe mentioned to Eric, kind of in passing, like, oh, it'd be sick to check that ledge out. You know, he never puts himself out there as like, I need to go to this spot and do this trick. I think Rodrigo Peterson mentioned to him, like, oh, you should skate that long ledge. You know, Tiago, like, he really respects the OGs. If Rodrigo Peterson told him to check out that ledge, like, I felt like there was a chance that he was really gonna skate it. So we were up in SF on a filming trip and we went to go check out the Bay Block, and Tiago just got straight to it. I remember Tiago just like kind of rolling up kind of slow and just like locking into a switchback tail. I rushed over, grabbed the van, parked it like kind of a sketchy parking spot. In most cases, it's me and Eric filming, but this wasn't the case because Eric was over at the pier filming Wade. And then by this point, he's like going pretty fast, sliding, but it felt like as he was getting more comfortable with the switchback tail, like more people kept coming. Like the pier got more busy. You know, he would like try one, slide like 3/4 of the ledge, like almost get there or whatever, and then we'd have to wait like 2-3 minutes in between tries because at this point it was still only me, Dan, and Tiago. And Dan was shooting photos. I was filming from on top of the van, so there's only so much I can do to try to like, hey, like, can you guys move or can you go on this side, you know? I remember texting Miles at that point, like, dude, I don't know where you're at, but like, I need help like directing traffic with the people. And so him and our homie Brandon and John Perez came over like maybe 10 minutes later, and they helped a ton because they were on the ground and they were just like really getting people out of the way. And when he was actually about to do it, I remember stressing too, like, fuck, I only have one angle of this, you know? And I had my second camera in my camera bag. I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna have Miles film an angle. It was pretty funny because I didn't have time to even jump down from the van, set up a camera, set up a tripod. Like Tiago was just going. And I didn't want to like mess that up, you know? So I had my camera bag on the ground and I remember telling Miles, like, just grab that piece right there and like screw that top handle. And you know, like in between, it took like 4 tries and I finally got Miles to get the camera like built, you know, and I was just like, can you just kind of stand there and try to get like a tripod angle where you just like kind of low and you just see Tiago like come into the frame and switchback tail. Once Miles and the crew got there to help with traffic, it was a wrap for Tiago. I mean, it was just a matter of him getting the right speed and holding on to it, you know, holding on to it the right way until he did it. So he landed one, he came out to regular. He did another one. He may have done like 2 or 3 before the actual one that he landed, but I remember he landed one and like his toe was hanging off, but he did this like incredible switch flip afterwards. Like switch flip shifty, and I remember being like, that was the one, you know, like he did it. Like just kind of like just in the moment, you know, and I remember Dan Z being like, he can do another one, you know, and because it was kind of a mission, and then Tiago was like, fuck, I want to do another one. And then the next try, he did the one perfect.
Keep going.
Okay.
You go through so many different stages of emotions when you're filming a really crazy trick like that, you know? Is it gonna happen? He's doing it. Oh shit, am I filming it good? Is there a second angle? Is Miles filming it right? You know, there's just like all this shit. So like, I remember him landing it, doing the switch flip. You can see my homie Brandon on the rollaway, which is pretty dope on that. Yeah, it was sick, man. It was like, I remember afterwards we went to a really nice dinner, had, you know, some drinks, a nice celebration meal, and cruised back to SAC. And that was like such an epic way to end that day in SF, you know, and that trip filming for the video.